I feel it would be very, very important that I kind of get an idea of what the person would do on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis. An example of that would be, would they be involved in a football club, or would they be involved with a community group? I think that's really, really important. Also, their hobbies. It would be really important that I get an idea if there's any hobbies done on a regular basis there as well. And also, I feel it'd be very important to understand if they read or go to the library, or if they do sport on a regular basis. I think that's really important before you have experience, to display that you have other interests in your life on a weekly or a daily basis. I think one of the most important qualities would be passion for retailing, passion for customer service, being a people person. That's really, really important, because you're going to be serving a lot of customers or helping a lot of customers on a day-to-day basis. So you have to like the customer. It's really important. So it is something that can be developed over time, but you have to like people. Like I see, you can nearly tell somebody tell that somebody is interested in retailing or will succeed in retailing from meeting them for the first couple of minutes. Chatterboxes are usually good at retailing, and people that care about people and looking after their needs from a retail point of view are generally the people that win at retailing. The advice I would give that candidate would be to visit stores. I know stores are very, very busy, but a lot of the time I've been handed a CV that has come in through email or come in through a phone call, and only when I've met the person and they've sold themselves, they're telling me that I need to employ them, is when you will actually interview somebody. So like, paper is cold. I would never post a CV. I would always try to get up in person and meet the manager or the supervisor, and do a bit of research, find out who owns the business, find out who manages the business. And it'd be very easy for a sales assistant to put your CV to the side and for it to go into into a bin. And no disrespect to a business there, but I think it's really, really important you get out there and sell yourself for that role. And retailers love people that are good with people, and that's a great way of displaying that you're good with people, by getting into a store and showing yourself off.
So for a production operative, we're looking for an individual who will be very flexible in terms of their approach to work. So we operate a shift pattern over 7 days, both early morning starts, midday starts, and then evening starts as well. So it certainly suits somebody who will be flexible in their approach to work. And we're also looking, and this is most important, for somebody who has a willingness to learn. They don't necessarily need to have a huge amount of experience when they join us at Freshways, as we will provide that training for them. But certainly if they can demonstrate that they have a willingness to learn and a desire to proceed and progress within the company, that was something that would be very beneficial. And this is very important, because some people will think that maybe I don't have experience, so I'm not going to apply there. And that's not always the case. An individual will always have some element of experience in their previous work or personal life that they can bring to a company. So for instance, if an individual has undertaken some additional training, such as manual handling training, or they're a licensed forklift operator, or they've done even a first aid training course, that is definitely something to highlight on a CV. As well as that, if there is a lack of previous work experience, if an individual has been a member of a sports club, or they've been involved in, say, the Scouts, or helping out at events, that all demonstrates teamwork, that demonstrates flexibility. It also demonstrates a huge number of other types of attributes that we will be looking for in a candidate. So that's always very, very important to make sure that they're all highlighted on an individual CV or a cover letter. So I think as an interviewer, when I'm meeting with candidates for the first time, when they demonstrate knowledge about the company, that's always a very, very beneficial. If they can demonstrate some knowledge about the type of role that they're being interviewed for, again, that's always a plus. They won't know the exact ins and outs of the role, and that's what the interview process is for. But as long as they can show that they have interest in the company, that they've undertaken some research into the company, that's fantastic. In addition, communication is key as well. If an individual can speak clearly and concisely, so that we can understand each other, then that's half of the job done. When individuals will mumble, or they might try and use long words in the hopes of maybe impressing us, that's not always the way to go. We just want to hear what you can bring to the company. So clear and concise communication is a key attribute as well. So when you're interviewing a candidate over the phone, you don't have the benefit of sitting across the table from them and actually building that rapport with a candidate. So it's very important to try and build that over the phone. So as an interviewer, I'll always try and make the candidate feel as comfortable as they possibly can before we get into the question and answer part of the interview. From a candidate's point of view, again, it goes back to the point of being very clear and concise in your communication, making sure there's no background noise, there's no television on in the background, that there's nothing that can disturb the conversation. Have your points ready, have some questions ready about the company as well. So when the interviewer is asking you questions about your experience and what you can bring to the role, always have your list of questions that you can ask the interviewer at the end of the interview. There will be time for you to ask questions. Try not to speak over the interviewer as well. And the interviewer is going to be asking you a question. Don't feel you have to jump in immediately with an answer. If you need a second or two to formulate an appropriate answer, that's absolutely fine. An interviewer will always take into account this is over the phone and not in person. So there'll always be a little bit of leeway in terms of length of time between the question being asked and the answer being delivered. So personal presentation is very important at an interview. However, it's not always necessary to be fully suited and booted for an interview, as a lot of people would believe that is the case. As long as you can show up to an interview on time and you're clean, neat and tidy, maybe with your hair combed, a collared t-shirt and a pair of casual trousers are perfectly fine. Certainly take a little bit of pride in your appearance when you are coming to an interview, because it is the first impression that an employer will have of any candidates coming through the door. But again, as long as you're fully equipped to answer the questions, you're clean, neat and tidy and able to continue with the interview, then that's absolutely fine. So a number of mistakes that we would see on CVs is generally in around their experience. So if you don't have relative work experience that would work to the role that we're interviewing for, don't put it down. Don't tell lies, don't tell untruths. Like I said earlier on, if you don't have the experience, we will provide the training for you to do the role. So it's very important that all the information in your CV is honest. Also be very mindful of the location of the company as well, and be mindful as well that we operate a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour operation in our offices in Poppintree and Ballymun. So making sure that if you're on a 6 a.m. shift, that you have the appropriate transport to enable you to get to work for 6 a.m. So making sure that you're within a catchment area for public transport. If you want to drive, we've got plenty of car spaces. If you cycle, we operate bike to work schemes as well. So there's plenty of options there, but making sure that you are in a locale that will be able to get to the workplace appropriately. So as we operate a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour shift pattern, flexibility is a key component of any candidate coming into work at Freshways. As well as flexibility, we would also like to see a candidate have a willingness to learn and a willingness to progress within the company. It's also really important as well to be friendly and to be open and to be able to get on with the colleagues that you are working on. We have over 33 different cultures and nationalities working at Freshways, so it's huge diversity, so there's always something to chat with your colleagues about at lunchtime, so it's always good to have an open, friendly personality as well. Being trustworthy and honest are key components of any employee as well. You will operate on your own initiative. You will have a job to do. So making sure that you have full understanding of the job that you're doing is important as well as knowing exactly who your team leader is in the event that you need to escalate any quality issues or any sort of production issues too.
Okay, to be eligible for a CE scheme, it's normal that you're a year receiving a payment from the DEASP. It can be a disability payment, it can be job seekers allowance, or it can be what used to be referred to as a lone parents, which I think is a JTS payment. So once you're in receipt of a payment or a carer's payment for a year, you're eligible for CE. Basically, anyone that's interested and available. Our CE scheme is, as any CE scheme, is 19.5 hours a week, and we do it over 3 days. So basically, anyone that's not free to do 3 days, now we are looking at the option of doing mornings, if that's for some parents that's better. So anyone that's interested and available and wants to work. Okay, the benefits gets you out into the workplace. It gets you used to getting up in the mornings, meeting people, getting some sort of routine, and gaining experience, whether it's in retail, whether it's in warehouse, and it gives you the chance to upskill. So you have plenty of training available, and it's great to have on your CV that you've done something for the last year or 2 years. On our community employment scheme, we have a warehouse and we have retail charity shops. So in our retail charity shops, they have ongoing customer service training and merchandising. We also do Safe Pass for the guys in the warehouse and forklift training, and everyone gets manual handling training, first aid, fire safety, and interview skills and CV preparation. Also, if there was a participant who was interested in, say, doing a module on caring, we've done that in the past. We've also done visual merchandising and window dressing in DIT. So there's lots of training available, just whatever the participant is interested in.